It's Dungeon Day. It's Dungeon Day. It's Dungeon Day. It's the fourth Saturday in September, and it just happens to fall on the 25th this year. Mark your calendars for every year in advance because the 4th September is Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Day. Am I right?
That's correct, and no one can tell us otherwise because that is the day to celebrate this wonderful franchise, spin-off, side series, whatever you want to call it.
Hey, it's Nintenbros.
Hi!
What's going on, Nintenbros podcast listeners? Welcome back to another episode of Nintenbros. Today's episode is our in-depth game review of, obviously, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. But which one in specific?
I know, there's so many.
We are going to talk about Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Gates to Infinity. And now these are our in-depth reviews, so we don't want to spend too much time in the opening. We just want to go right into it because there is a lot to talk about.
For sure.
So, without further ado, let's kick things off with our opening thoughts. Mm-hmm. What was your very first thought when you were booting up Gates to Infinity?
So, to be honest, right, I had pretty low expectations heading into this game. I heard that Super Mystery Dungeon was far the better 3DS Mystery Dungeon, but nonetheless, I gave it its fair shot, and while it didn't disappoint, it didn't really impress either.
I'm kind of on the same boat as you.
Yeah.
My opening thoughts, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Gates to Infinity was released in 2012, 2013, depending on where you are in the world, and developed by Spike Chunsoft and published by the Pokemon Company for Nintendo. The predecessor is Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky, and the successor is Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon. And the reception amongst the community was a mixed bag, with many critics targeting the drawn-out narrative and the watered-down combat system. There you got it for our opening thoughts. Now, moving right along, let's talk story and how the story progresses. I know that you like to really just like deep dive into this, so I'm gonna let you take over, and then I'll just put in my pointers.
So mine's a little bit scattered because I was saying it from like my perspective, so this is like the order I remembered it in, basically. Mm-hmm. So it's not going to be 100% covering everything. It's not going to be 100% accurate, but to my understanding, this is basically how the story is, right? So their player starts off by having a dream and waking up as a Pokemon, which is similar to most Mystery Dungeon games. And then they find their partner, and they plan to build a Pokemon paradise, which is really cool. I love that idea. That's one of the things I will talk about that I did love. Mm. Eventually, your main guy, like whoever you are, I don't know how to really say that, the protagonist, starts to have visions about, how do you say this guy's name? Hydreigon?
I'm assuming I say it wrong every single time, but it's just hide the like H2O, like hydrogen, like that. So it's hide and then region, so hydrogen. Or, wow, I can't
Hydreigon?
Hydreigon.
I guess so.
Hydration. Anything. We'll get the idea. It's the one with 3 heads, that Pokemon.
For sure. So, Hydreigon starts chasing around this small little Pokemon named Muna, and Muna tells you to come save her. Now, you know, you're in the middle of building the Pokemon paradise.
I'm going to actually stop you there, because she doesn't say, come save me. She just says help at the beginning.
Okay, you're right.
Which interprets as come save me, but they didn't know how to save her, so just, your protagonist only knew that Muna needed help.
Yeah, so am I missing any like big points before they go and try to help her?
The whole getting to know Espeon and Umbreon. They came through first because they were the shady Pokemon at first in Post Town, and then they introduced the Enter cards and whatnot. But other than that, no, you're doing pretty good.
Oh yeah, the Enter cards is a big part of that too. But so Muna wants you to help her and tells you to come help her. Mm-hmm. And this leads to you and your group trying to help her, but it ends up being a trap. And Hydreigon is actually the one in trouble, and he was running away from Muna and her gang. Now, there's a lot of people like in Muna's gang. I don't know all the names. There's that big cat that just looks pathetic.
Purgly.
There's
you got Salamence.
There's Chandelures. There's those rock guys.
Honestly, the first time you encountered Muna and her gang and you were cornered and it was just you and your partner, and your partner was like, we only got one shot at this, and you didn't actually battle them, you just knocked out the Chandelures. I thought that was a really like clever way of just not really fighting, but like showing what would happen if you guys were to fight. Yeah. Just like the whole storyline taking over instead of you actually controlling the fight.
Yeah, for sure.
I like agree. That part.
So, to backtrack a little bit, right? Before you go to Muna and everything, I hope this isn't confusing, but I'm going to try and make this simple. We discover that Kyurem is guarding the bitter cold, which is all of the Pokemon's negative thoughts in the world, and it grows as more negative thoughts happen.
Right, and I just want to mention that we discovered Kyurem. How do you say it? Kyurem. Because of Umbreon and Espeon, because they had ambitions to go to the Glacier Island because they've been studying the Enter cards and how to get there. So that's how they tie into being a part of your game, because they are kind of important people, or important
For sure.
Pokemon.
Yeah. And Kyurem can see the future, so he tells you to stay away from the bitter cold after you try and see where it is. However, you find out that Kyurem and Muna are both trying to destroy the world, and then you and your partner begin trying to save it by, once again, trying to find a way to get to Glacier Palace and defeating all of the bad guys one by one. Eventually, you and your partner make it to the bitter cold. Now, remember, I'm missing a lot of stuff. You could deep dive into the story, like, very hard. On Wikipedia, there's like a whole 7 pages of the story. Eventually, you and your partner make it to the bitter cold after defeating Kyurem, which was a pitiful fight. I'll talk about that later. And your partner can't go in, so he encourages you, along with the rest of the Pokemon in the world, to defeat the bitter cold, making their more positive thoughts than negative, so you can get closer to it, eventually defeating it and becoming a hero. However, because you were never originally meant to be a Pokemon, you have to go back home, which is another bittersweet ending as you try to leave without anyone knowing, but your partner looks up at you as you float away.
Dude, it was sad. Did you cry, man?
Yeah.
Okay, I cried too, bro. I couldn't help myself.
Like a little bit.
I bawled. Oh my god.
You bawled?
A little bit, yeah. Not like sobbing, but no, it was there.
It was just like a tear,
I was like, wow, they really doing that. Homie didn't really want to just stir up any conflict on his last day, so he was like, yo, I'll stay quiet.
Yeah.
And then your partner knew, because your partner told Hydrogen, like, if my partner has to go anywhere, just give him this. And then they gave you a Frizzum, bro. The Frizzum. While they were up in the sky, I was like, no way.
Yeah, it was pretty sad. I did shed like 1 tear.
I shed more than one. It's all right. We're different people.
I'm just saying,
So that takes care of the story and the progression. Obviously, again, it wasn't like complete deep dive, but it gives you the main gist, and that's what we're going for with those story and progression.
For sure. There's a ton of more with like Hydreigon, Espeon and Umbreon, the Enter cards.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to know more about that, you can totally look up a Wikipedia. There's a basic one, or Bulbapedia. It'll explain it way better. But that's just like an overview.
Perfect. So moving right along, we're going to talk about the important characters, and there is a plethora of them. So I'll have you go first. We'll just rattle them off back and forth.
Yeah, so obviously I didn't know what to call the first character, right? Because it's you. It's the main protagonist. Whoever you picked is the person who's not originally a Pokemon and was originally a human.
Right. Who did you pick?
Oshawott. I love the homie Oshawott. I think he's really cute.
Okay.
And I just got a plush of him before we started this game.
Nice.
And I was like, I really like the homie Oshawott, so...
You get to pick your partner, nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
And I just happened to pick Oshawott, which I thought was pretty cool because you were Oshawott.
Yeah, and I picked as my partner Pikachu.
Which would be very suitable because 99% of the time I do pick Pikachu. But it just so happened in this game, I told myself, listen, I play Pikachu all the time. Let me play as someone else. I picked Axew. So we almost matched, but I decided to,
Just had to pick Axew.
I just had to.
It's okay. I used to have a plush of that guy, and he's like in a garbage bag now.
He's cool. He's cute.
He's all right. As a plush, he looks a little weird, but... All right, so the next person is Hydreigon. He is quoted as the voice of life, I think it is.
Yes.
And he guides you to the right places throughout the game and helps you through a few dungeons, I think. Throughout the story, he also gets quote-unquote killed by Kyurem, but he still comes back because he's like the voice of life, so that was just his physical entity, and he's still
at the
with
time.
you.
I'm not exactly sure, because if that was his physical entity that got broken, he came back as the same exact physical entity. I don't really understand that.
I'm assuming it's probably because the bitter cold was destroyed, and if he wasn't singularly a physical entity, it was based off of thoughts that he was still there, and after the bitter cold was destroyed, I guess something like that, and he came back.
Okay. The next one is Muna. Muna is the pink little... I think she's supposed to be like a baby elephant, maybe?
Yeah, we'll talk about this later, but it was like kind of a... I understand the point of having like a littler villain, kind of, but I didn't really like it.
Muna was the main villain of the story that you were up against. I mean, the ultra villain was Kyurem, but Muna was the one that you like versed off the most and that you had the most ambition to go out and beat.
Yeah.
So she is the main villain. She distorts the first scene you see of her and Hydrogen to make it seem like she is in trouble. She lures you into a trap to try and defeat you before you have the chance to change the future and destroy the bitter cold. She believes that the world is empty and relentless and there is no hope.
Wow. Yeah, that's
she's pretty dark, man. She's pretty dark.
All right,
even though she's pink.
So, so the next one I got is Kyurem. He can see the future and swore to destroy you at all costs if you wanted to destroy the bitter cold. That ends up not happening, and once again, a pitiful boss fight. But
I wasn't impressed either. Next one, you got Girder,
Girder,
something like that.
Yeah,
he was the one in charge of building Paradise and all the facilities for it. You pay him the gold, you pay him the supplies, and then he builds it for you, which is really cool. But prior to building, he was like the first like little villain that you had to go up against.
Yeah, that was kind of cool
because he just thought all Pokemon were bad and he didn't want to build anymore because he hurt himself at some point. And he was over the whole thing. But eventually, your partner and you turn him around and he becomes your friend that builds everything for Paradise.
I did like him. He was pretty cool. So the next thing I have is the Bitter Cold, which is the otherworldly entity I described it as, which I think is kind of a good thing because in Super Mystery Dungeon, there was kind of that same feel at the end there with like the heart of the universe.
Yes.
So I like that they had that and then they continued it in Super. Thought it was pretty cool. But it's the otherworldly entity that you have to destroy to save the world, basically.
Perfect. Next one I got is Emolga. Emolga is the homie that tags along on lots of missions throughout the story. Personally, my favorite post-town Pokemon that's just like a villager, basically.
My favorite was probably Verizon, or however you say her name. Yeah,
I always called her Virizion.
Yeah, because she had like a cool character development.
Yeah, she definitely had more character development than Emolga, but I just like Emolga because it's like a flying Pikachu almost.
So the next people I have is Espeon and Umbreon, the evolutions that helped you and were basically the researchers in the game. Really like them.
Yeah, they're cool. I don't usually like Eevees, but Evolutions I can get behind, and Umbreon and Espeon are definitely my favorite too. I like them a lot.
They seem like the guide, like the older, wiser people. And they were cool.
Next one I have is Dunsparce. He is originally accused as weak and not built for a rescue team. He is extremely shy of Virizion, but eventually breaks out of his shell and does the honorable work of keeping Pokemon spirits high while everyone else goes out to destroy the bitter cold. He plays a key part, but if we're being completely honest, I didn't use Dunsparce when you were supposed to build your team, and I didn't really like him a lot. He was just, I feel like, a filler and a bunch of dialogue.
I totally agree. If they made Dunsparce a little stronger, it would have been cool. But you were literally with him in like mid-game, he was like level 6, and I used like 4 Reviver Seeds on him because I didn't have a choice.
Yeah, you can't dictate who gets a Reviver Seed, who goes back home. If one of your Pokemon in your party dies, they automatically use a Reviver Seed.
Yeah. So the next set of 3 people I had, I just categorized them all in one. I know they have bigger dialogue, bigger stories. But the Virizion, Emolga, and Dunsparce were the main partners in the game and were involved in lots of dialogue.
Yes, they were. Next one I have is Keldeo, something like that. He is the lost traveler, friends with Virizion at one point, who had an important role in the story, but I don't quite understand how he played a role in the story. I'm pretty
Me neither,
sure.
Really. It's kind of confusing.
Yeah, I think at the end he was trying to say, like, yo, I scattered the enter cards so that you guys would be able to figure it out and then go back to the Glacier Palace. I think I think that was his role, but I couldn't quite
something like that. And then there was a letter that he sent to cut off ties between Virizion and himself because he didn't want to be associated with Virizion because then they come after Virizion and he wanted to keep her safe. So it's something like that. It's not exactly, but yeah, that's all the characters I have.
And that wraps it up for me as well. So that takes us along to our next part of our favorite part, and then things that we liked.
I just did things that we liked. I'm sure I could come up with a favorite part. I'm trying to think of one that
I'll share you mine first.
Yeah.
So my favorite was the cutscene when you were surrounded by Muna's crew, and then Hydrogen comes out for the first time and brings you to safety. the cutscene of seeing him dodge and twirl against Salamence had me actually hype.
Oh,
I actually
yeah.
had it in 3D,
Yeah.
and he was like twirling and dodging Salamence, and then he landed into like a desert or whatever.
That was super
I
cool.
thought that was a really brilliantly done cutscene. And you're honestly almost like watching a movie sometimes in this game. So that was one cutscene that I did actually thoroughly enjoy.
Yeah, I think my favorite part would probably be the boss fight with Muna, because I worked so hard to get there so many times. Maybe like I climbed through those 4 sets of floors like 7 times, and I finally beat her when I finally got my hands on some orange berries.
Nice. It's always a great feeling to feel rewarded.
Yeah,
at the end.
for sure.
So that brings us to the things that we like. I have a decent amount of things I liked in this game. This game was by no means bad. There's just lots of things that could have been improved upon and some things cut out. But we'll take turns. What's one thing that you did like?
So, yeah, I do want to say, once again, there is so much good and a lot of bad in this game. It's kind of crazy how much they do well and how much they do bad. So it's kind of packed in. But for one, the music for the most part was really good, and I liked it. Now, I don't really remember music from games like ever, but when I did realize the music that was playing was on, I really liked it.
For sure, I was a fan of the soundtrack as well.
Yeah.
One thing I liked was after this game laid out the groundwork of the plot, it was very interesting. It took a while, but after, you're going to save what you thought you were going to save Muna for the first time, after she turns, I feel like that's when the plot really starts to speed up, and I started enjoying the game a lot more instead of just like dreading having to play it more.
I kind of agree. I think I'll talk about it later, but I think the plot was pretty predictable and kind of bored me a little bit. But so the next thing I have is that this one's kind of good and bad. I really like the idea of clearing land and building structures. I thought it was super cool, but they never really allowed you enough time to really take full advantage of it. I only had 3 plots cleared and like 7 structures built, and then they were like, okay, now go finish out the whole main story.
That's true. They sent you on a long track of dungeons back to back to back with the story. I also liked the moral of this game. I felt like it was spot on. It teaches players that positive thinking can and will go a long way when it comes to change. Because you got to think about the target audience, right? I mean, we're a little older than the target audience now. We're late teens, almost mid-20s. And I'm pretty sure they're shooting for probably 8 to 12-year-olds, 8 to like 13, 14 years old.
Yeah.
And just instilling that type of morale into kids is important. And I think they nailed it.
For sure. I totally agree. But on the flip side, something that 8 to 14-year-old kids might not understand was that the main theme behind this game and story was actually pretty cool and darker for a Pokemon game when it all came together. Maybe even too dark. Pokemon wanting to end the world because there was nothing good in life is a pretty big topic to handle. Nonetheless, it was good because the main protagonist convinced them all otherwise at the end, and it ended with them all happy. But, it's basically like, let's all die together. And that's not directly like, they want to all, I don't know. I guess they just all want to die and start a new world. I don't know. Obviously.
Yeah, but dying doesn't mean you're going to be in a new world.
Yeah.
And I don't think those Pokemon, the villain Pokemon, were really understanding that, because when your partner was like, don't you want to live with your friends? Don't you want to be with your friends? They kind of stumbled on their own words, and they didn't really know what to say after that. They kind of just froze up.
Yeah, but, when you really think about it, the story and the theme, it's pretty dark.
For sure.
For the bad guys, and it is what it is.
Did you like it being that dark?
Yeah, I think it was pretty cool. I think, if a 12-year-old understands how dark that is, it's kind of, I don't know how I feel about it, but...
Moving right along, I got some more stuff that I did like. So we already talked about the whole concept of paradise. I as well liked that a lot. But the next one is the Exp Share was nice because I liked having no ridiculously underleveled Pokemon on my team. And I know Dunsparce was kind of like a ridiculously underleveled Pokemon sometimes.
Yeah.
But you would go through the story, and whenever you would add another person into your party, I remember I would go without a Molga for like 10, 15 dungeons, and then he would jump on, and then I would take one step, and he would level up like 10 levels.
Oh, yeah.
And I was thinking, okay, that's kind of nice, so that way I'm not playing with a level 23 while I'm a 33. I thought that was cool. I think it'll make just like playing with a different party a lot easier in late game and in post game.
Totally. I totally agree. That was great. Not having them just be like stupid underleveled. Wonderful. The next thing I have is that the mystery dungeon aspect was done just fine in this game, as I don't think it was too unfair or fair. Maybe at some points I struggled a little bit, but I think I like the challenge rather than it being too easy, because when I beat it, it felt great. Now, I don't know if you went through a lot of this, but I would, in like the last couple dungeons, I'd take a step into the most open room possible, and I'd get hit by like Shatter Wind for like 86 damage and die out of nowhere. Pretty annoying.
Can't say that happened to me.
I don't really know how. I don't know if that's a skill issue, if that's an RNG issue.
No, you know what was happening to me? Did you get... It may have been Dazzling Gleam or something, but I would always get confused in the last dungeon. Like, I would step into a room and both my Pokemon would get confused right off the rip. And I was like, great, what am I supposed to do?
That didn't happen to me a lot, I don't think, but...
I got confused all the time.
Yeah, health orbs, man.
So yeah. Another one that I have is the customization of your party and recruiting newcomers was very easy and to the point. Prior mystery dungeons, you would have to buy your friend areas. You would have to like adjust your party right there and whatnot. This was very easy. You just go to Quagsire, I believe it was.
Oh yeah.
And you didn't have to buy any friend areas, and it was pretty simple.
It's good, but I don't really think it at all plays a part, really, because did you ever use a Pokemon that you recruited?
I did at the very beginning.
Really?
Yes, before it launches you into the gauntlet of all the dungeons that you have to use. When I was doing missions for maybe 6-7 days, I did use a couple different partners.
Well, I never used them, and they would always ask to join later on, and I'd be like, there's really no point. I'm about to beat the game. So I just said no. But my next point is, at the time, it annoyed me a bit, but the character progression and just the characters in general, the good ones, are done so very well. Seeing Virizion overcome her fears and literally speaking it through dialogue and seeing everyone develop was super cool, and one of the first times I actually caught on to something like that. Because it was so prevalent.
Yeah, originally she was just cut off with the whole world. She didn't want anything to do with anyone. She was like, all Pokemon are nasty, they're mean, because of Keldeo. And then once you save everything, and even as you're gearing up to save everything, she joins the not the Sailors. I named my team the Sailors, but she joins your team, and she starts regaining that trust, which is good. Mm-hmm. Another thing I liked was my partner Pokemon acted like a complete baller. I never thought he was a wimp or a pushover, which was a common theme with earlier entries.
Oh yeah,
I remember in like the first entry, your partner was scared to go in like the mountains to go versus Zapdos or Moltres. They would get stomach aches and whatnot. Like, no, my partner, complete baller, bitter cold. Let's go. How do we get there? Like, complete. For sure. He's awesome. And so the partner is a great character in this.
Yeah, when you were going up to the last couple dungeons with the enter cards, he was already there like practicing how to use them and stuff.
I really liked it.
All right, so the last couple things I have is I also loved the general thing with your guys starting in Pokemon Paradise, as well as the fact that I do really like the final boss being something that's not a Pokemon. Just like in Super Mystery Dungeon, I thought that was really cool because it kind of like, it brings a story together when it's not just you're beating a final Pokemon. You're beating something bigger than Pokemon.
I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know if I think it's like a great thing or if it's a bad thing. I feel like the earlier mystery dungeons worked just fine with defeating a Pokemon for the last one.
Yeah, well.
But, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Now, my last one that I have is a spoiler, so if you don't want to hear this, skip ahead like 10 seconds. It's okay. You don't come back to the Pokemon world at least right away. You're your original human guy. You don't once you beat it.
Yeah.
Once you close out the story, the post-game content switches you over to your partner Pokemon to see how your story pans out. And I think that's really cool because it builds that type of just like emotional attachment of like, I want to keep seeing how my story pans out. I want to see me come back or your original Pokemon come back. So I think it kind of adds a little bit of extra playtime because I know I'm at least going to figure that out.
Yeah, I do. I want to figure it out as well because I can't just leave off with it like that because it was literally named like Jake and Lo. So to see it being like, oh, it's bye to Lo forever and stuff like that, and I'll never see Jake again. It's like, Okay, when I think about that in real life, I gotta go figure that out.
And I'm the exact same as you. I named my partner Lo, and I'm Jay.
Yeah.
So Jay's gone forever. Homie Lo. Let's see how it stands.
Yeah.
Crazy.
For
that
sure.
wraps up the things that we liked. How about we turn the tables and talk about some
Oh
things we
my
did not
God.
like?
Let me start, right?
All right, sure.
I don't
sure.
usually take the floor like that, but let me start, right? I'm fed up.
Right.
I was texting you. I was trying to get this game done last night. The tactics, man. Oh my God. I cannot go
Let's
off
talk
on the
about it.
tactics meaning enough. The tactics meaning in this game just does not work for me. Sometimes it was super frustrating. A few times it was actually my fault. Like I was texting you a little bit, and Emolga was just on like let's attack every enemies.
Yeah.
But at times it would be everyone's just on follow me, right?
Yeah.
And my partner Verizian would be on follow me, and they would just stop to fight a sleeping enemy that you can just walk past, right? There's some that wake up. There's some that you can just walk past. And they would just completely stop to fight a sleeping enemy and then completely walk the other direction and die. You'd be literally chasing them, and they'd be flying through the dungeon without you and just die. It was so annoying. I didn't know how to stop it. It was on follow me.
Is that the one that it starts off as?
I think so.
Because I actually changed my tactics one time. I changed it off the set one at the beginning.
Yeah.
And if you brought them up right now, I'd be able to tell you which one I set it to. It's going to be like 30 fucking minutes from title log.
Oh, no, it's right here.
Okay, go to tactics. Okay, so you said that you put them on follow me or let's go together.
Follow me.
Okay, so I must have put my Pokemon on let's go together because once I did that, because I was having the same issue as you early game, my Pokemon, I would be in a party of 4, and I would be in like a hallway or whatever. Someone would get caught up in the hallway on the other end.
Yeah,
and
it's over. It's all over.
They would just go the other way like they never saw me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And so I got fed up with that as well. So I changed it to let's go together, and I'm pretty sure it stops the Pokemon from being dead set on the foe and more focused on like being with you. So it'll attack the foe, but it'll follow you afterwards. And I didn't have a problem after that. But I also consciously made a decision to only make my party 3 because I hated it.
Really?
Whenever I had the option to make a party of 4, I would just go with 3 because I hated it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like I had it on the other things sometimes too, though, and it would still happen.
Oh, yeah, I changed it one time, and that was that.
That's the thing I'm most fed up with in this game, honestly. It was so annoying. Homie literally attacks a Pokemon and then acts like he's blind. He acts like he's never known who the hell I am. And it's so frustrating.
It's alright, kind of. It's okay.
All right, what do you have? Because I'm just annoyed at the tactics, man.
So, right off the rip, this game kind of changes up a formula that the Mystery Dungeon has been doing for a little bit. The personality test. And I was really sad about that. And granted, this can go both ways because I'm not opposed to that, because a lot of times I would restart my game to try and get the Pokemon I wanted anyway. So just be able to pick your Pokemon. It's kind of cool. But I was also kind of let down with the selection that you were able to pick. It was so bare bones. It was like 6 or 7 Pokemon. And I was thinking to myself, like, man, if they're going to let me pick, at least let me pick from, like, all the starters I was able to before.
Yeah,
but this time I'm only able to choose, like, Gen 5 and Pikachu. It seemed kind of scaled down, and I didn't like that. And I wish they kind of added the option, like, hey, would you like to take the personality test, or would you like to just pick your Pokemon?
That would have been good.
Because I think just you feel more like it's yourself when they give you the personality test, because they tell you like, oh, you're the confident and you're the spontaneous type, so you must be a Totodile or whatnot, instead of like, oh, I just want to play as Pikachu, you know?
For sure. I had that down too, and I was saying, you know, I'm sure it doesn't take that much work to just put a personality test in. Like, it can't.
Yeah. So, a little sad about that, but what else do you have after the tactics?
All right, so this is a pretty big one. It may be controversial, but this is just my opinion. So I think the biggest one for me is definitely the story just feeling super lackluster. On paper, this is a pretty cool story, but to watch it play out was pretty underwhelming. There was one big twist that was kind of expected even, and it was pretty confusing as well. If Caillou Ren can see the future, then he should already know what was going to happen and should set a trap, but that didn't happen. It was just really basic and didn't seem intense enough. I know it was about the world ending, but I didn't get that wow factor like I did from Super.
Did you get it from Explorers of Time and Darkness? Did you like that story?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I feel like this was probably the weakest of the stories as well.
Because I say this, I mentioned this in my final explanation of the game rating, but, you know, in past entries, you were sleeping in multiple places, you were moving towns, you were running away. Here it was just like, you're always at Pokemon Paradise, we're just going to this dungeon, and then we'll come back. There was never that big of a plot twist. There was never something that it put you in harm's way to have to get out immediately of where you're living. It was always just kind of expected.
Yeah, and when you were put in harm's way, you would just keep going and going and going.
Yeah.
For just an obnoxious amount of dungeons at a time.
Yeah.
So again, this one's probably controversial because you looked at this and you were like, difficulty? No way! So,
Yeah.
personally, I didn't find any difficulty in this game. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon series is widely known for its unforgiving gameplay. When defeated in a dungeon, traditionally players would lose their money and all or most of their items. While it could still happen in this game, most times your items in the bag are spared and you really don't end up dying much, if at all. If you play Axew, I guess, because I had this one move, Double Chop, and Double Chop would do like 50 damage and then 50 more damage, and I was always like one-shotting people a lot.
Wow.
So, yeah, maybe it's different for the different Pokemon you pick.
Yeah, because I was using Ashwan, I was just spamming Water Gun that was really powered up, and it would just do like 50 apiece.
Yeah, so goes like that. Not sure.
It is what it is. You know, you struggled really hard on Darkness.
Time and Darkness, yeah.
Yeah, and I just pretty much flew through it. So, you know, people struggle on different games.
Yeah.
So the next one I have was the ending Kaiju-Ren boss fight was beyond pitiful and borderline an embarrassing final boss fight. He didn't use any cool moves, barely hit hard, and the music didn't really make it feel necessary either. It was like the slightest amount of like intense music. The dude like flipped his tail a little bit for like 20 damage. I thought I was going to die because I didn't have Oran Berries, but I ended up with more than half my health. Like, the dude he was like, I can see the future, and before the fight started, he was like, I'll take it with every strain in my body to defeat you before you get to this bitter cold, and I water gunned him like 5 times, and he was like, alright, see ya.
It was like, that's enough! Throw it in the towel!
Yeah, it was beyond pitiful. It was borderline embarrassing.
I agree. That was a pretty trash final boss. I found a lot more difficulty in taking down Muna's gang and,
For sure.
and Salamence's gang. I remember I came through with like 4 Reviver Seeds and I used them all on Muna, I believe, or the group battle that I had to fight beforehand.
Yeah, see, the thing is, I had no Reviver Seeds on Muna, so it's pretty rough.
Did you upgrade your Paradise rank at all?
Oh, yeah.
So you should have got some Reviver Seeds, right? You must have used them.
I probably used them before, yeah.
I never died until up to there.
Oh, you died to Muna's gang?
Like, and then used Reviver Seeds.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I've never died up to there, so I had like 4 on deck because of upgrading my Paradise.
Yeah, no, I had to look up like a guide on how to do it. I had to make Pikachu use Agility once, activate moves, take off fighting and normal moves, make Virizion only use Magical Leaf. And then I had to use Oran Berries at specific times, and it ended up just working out finally.
Nice. That did not happen to me. I double chopped a lot of people, and we were good.
Yeah, I was just taking like I would be at 100 to start the battle. I'd move down, and then I'd immediately be at 30 HP in one shot. It was so annoying.
Dang.
But I ended up doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. So the next one I have is way too many dungeon checkpoints to store your money and items. It made the game feel a lot easier with little desire to play tactically because you never had much to lose. And I just want to point out, how much money did you have at the end of the game?
I don't even remember because I died like 7 times to Muna's gang, so probably not a lot.
But how much money did you have saved up? Do you remember?
Oh, I spent like 5,000 on changing the V-Wave before I went to the glacier because I was like, I'll just make it water.
Okay, that's kind of fair, I guess. I have 20,000 plus in the bank because I never spent any money. So I felt like the Pokey...
Oh, I was spending money.
Yeah. To me personally, I felt like the Pokey really didn't play any factor, and I was kind of disappointed in that.
Well, I was spending on like Reviver Seeds, Blast Seeds.
I think a lot of it is who you choose as a starter chooses your difficulty. I think Axew might just be easy mode.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll have to look that up. The next thing I had was only being able to accept 1 request at a time was a big bummer because I really wanted that early game experience and challenge, but I couldn't really get it because I remember it would be like in Explorers of Time. I would accept one easy request and then like a really hard one that was like 5 floors up in the same dungeon, and I'd be like, let's go see if I can do it or not. But this one, it was like, accept one request that's super easy and then go home. But yeah,
kind of sad. I was disappointed in that as well, because then it stops you from earning all the rank points to rank up quicker.
Yeah.
And you're just, okay, you earned 20 points this day, 20 points that day.
And
Okay, we're going to put you through a gauntlet of dungeons now. Oh, 20 more points this day. We're done. No more requests for the whole game.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Next one I have is a personal opinion, and I'm assuming a lot of people will not mind, but I mean, being a more old school fan, kind of found this one a little bit of a bummer. The absence of hunger. You never had to eat apples, gummies. Your stomach never went down. It was kind of nice at times, but the dungeon floors, from my personal playthrough, seemed way more tedious. They always had long hallways and lots of tiny rooms. I would rather take the hunger mechanic and regular dungeon floors.
I totally agree.
Yeah, because I remember I would breeze through the floors way faster in older games because there'd just be less to explore. There'd be bigger rooms, less long-ass hallways. But in this game, you could literally do a perimeter check, and then you could go through like 85% of the whole main floor, and then there could be one tiny room to the top left that you did not check, and that's where the stairs are. Sorry about that.
Oh, I know. I sent you literally a picture last night of I explored every single place until I got to the stairs, and it would totally happen like that, to where like the starting point would be, the middle of the thing, and you'd explore everything, but the stairs were just to the left of the starting point, but you didn't check there, so...
Yeah, and that's just annoying to me. I know a lot of people probably have no complaints about hunger leaving, but I would just rather take the old system.
Yeah, I agree. All right, the next thing I have is the personality test as well, but we already talked about that. And the next thing I have is pretty much the biggest one here, one of the biggest ones. So I don't know if past dungeon games were completely like this, but the amount of dialogue seems so overboard and way too much. Maybe if it was all meaningful, it's fine, and sometimes it was, but sometimes it was explaining the same thing over and over. It was like, hey guys, we're going to use the enter cards. This is how we're going to do it, but be careful not to do this because we're using the enter cards. Oh, you want to know how to use the enter cards again? Here, this is how we'll do it. And then do this. But guys, be careful. And it felt like a press A button simulator.
Dude, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It felt like you were watching a movie almost.
Yeah.
Because you just watched. There was a lot. I wish there was more playtime and less watch time. That's what it came down to.
Yeah, I agree.
Another one I have is the game was extremely linear. We've talked about already. You're put through a gauntlet of dungeons. I'm assuming post-game content will allow a bit more variety, but for the majority of the game, I felt like I was going through a big dungeon gauntlet with no rest days to do normal business. This made Post-Town less personable and felt more like one big long quest than one big long story.
100%. Well said.
Yeah, because a quest has beginning and end. A story has chapters in between and whatnot. And, I mean, you can kind of look at it both ways and be like, well, they're the same thing. They kind of are, but you go, like, think outside the box. And you go back to the older games, like, your home base felt like the guild, right? Mm-hmm. Or your home base felt like where Ampharos was in Super. Home base is supposed to be paradise. I didn't really get that feeling because I was outside of paradise for, like, 70% of the game.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing is, like, when you're going through it and, you're at the guild... Not the guild. You're at the freaking... you're at your place, and you would start a mission, but it would feel like you'd have to go along with the main storyline because... I never tried to do a mission when they were like, okay, we're going to use the enter cards now. But I don't know if you could.
You couldn't. I tried.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were like, we shouldn't be taking requests right now. We should go see what's on top of the hill.
Yeah, see, so you were never given like a fair chance to build stuff, do other stuff, rank up your paradise rank, just get experience to be farther along in the game. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
Which goes into the pacing of this game was super slow and then super fast. It was uneven pacing because you would at least for me, started out, I had 7 days or so in a row where I was just doing requests. And then all of a sudden, you see shady Pokemon, and then it's game on for the rest of the time.
Yeah.
So, I wasn't a huge fan of that. Another thing I disliked was oftentimes the storyline would supply you with a very over-leveled Pokemon to help you on your quest. Off the rip, they gave you Virizion. You were level 7, 8. She was level 20.
I didn't mind.
They gave you Hydreigon. You were like level 30. He was level 64.
He was level like 86 for me.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and homie still wasn't even that good.
So, I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of it. It kind of just made the game easy on top of having Axew and the double chop and just one
you gotta play through it with Oshawott, man, because it ain't the same. It ain't the same, Chief.
So that's what I got for that. We talked about way too much dialogue. We talked about the final boss and how it was anticlimactic and whatnot. I felt... Okay, so this last one that I have. Do you have any more?
I have one more.
Okay, so I'll just finish mine out and then it's you. The last one I have is the Bitter Cold Showdown was pointless. And let me tell you why.
Yeah.
It was obviously a meaningful boss and one that you had to take. That was the climax of the story. But I die at it, right?
Yeah.
And I died. And once that happened, I teleported to a weird-ass looking room, prompting me to try again as if nothing happened. The Bitter Cold's health never restored, so it made the final battle less rewarding. I died.
Yeah.
Got teleported to a room. Do you want to continue? I mean, I'm not going to stop. Continue. Continued. Dude, I did one hit. One hit. The Bitter Cold fainted. I was like, what?
Yeah, it really made no sense because, you know, you're there, you're hitting him, and then you die, and then you go back, you hit him again. I had to hit him like a billion times. And then even getting to that place was so random because you were like in the Glacier Palace, right? And then you go past. All of a sudden, you're in like the galaxy. Like out of nowhere. And then all of a sudden, you're walking on nothing.
Dude, doesn't make sense to me.
It makes no sense. All right, the last thing I have was the good guys' character development was great, but now that I think about it, the bad guys aren't really given much character. Like the Kyurem boss fight felt like, oh, he threatened me once, but whatever. Muna, what did you really know about Muna besides that she wanted to destroy the world? Like they weren't given like a backstory, a character. It didn't really feel meaningful.
Right, Virizion had a backstory. She was cool. And
Yeah.
Dunsparce had character development. Amolga, he stayed pretty plateau, not gonna lie.
It's okay, homie Amolga.
Yeah, for real. Character development was uneven throughout the whole story.
Yeah.
Last thing that we talk about before closing this section off is our replayability and post-game content.
Yeah.
So after the main game, you come back playing as your partner. You can continue the story and find out what ultimately happens to you, as well as go on an infinite amount of rescue jobs. You can grow your paradise rank, as well as grow your paradise, adding different facilities and changing the way they look. You can end up training many different Pokemon as well to a high level. And there is also additional DLC content that can be downloaded. So there's plenty of there's plenty of replayability, plenty of post-game content. So the game doesn't end when the credits roll.
Nice. So I took it more from just like my point of view, kind of. I'm fairly certain there is post-game content where you can get your partner back, which is what most people just want to do, probably. But I don't know past that. As for replayability, even though it's not my favorite dungeon game, I think I'll always be inclined to replay these.
You think one time you'll just like go through a gauntlet of mystery dungeons and start from blue and then go to time and then go to...
Yeah.
I think that'd be fun. Just have a marathon of dungeon.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. So that brings us down to the big question.
Oh, man.
Out of 10, how would we rate this? I guess I'll go first because I usually go second, and I'm going to let you have the final word this time.
Yeah, I really like my explanations.
Yeah, so I'm giving this game a 6 out of 10. That's pretty middle of the road. It's not a bad game. It's not quite as bad as Kirby's 64 Crystal Shards.
It deserves over that halfway point.
Yes, because it did do a lot of things right, but it suffered a lot of things as well. So I feel like 6 is a pretty reasonable thing to give it.
Yeah.
A lot of this rating comes from the experience I have had with other Mystery Dungeon games because of comparison. If you look at this game standalone and give it a shot, it will be worth your time, though. It is an exceptional choice for any newcomers to the series looking to have an easy start, if you choose Axew. What holds this game back is the roadblocks you have to get around to get into the story. You will spend at least 5 to 6 hours pushing through a storyline that doesn't mean much to you. You will oftentimes forget you are playing a video game because the cutscenes drag on for tens of minutes at a time.
Facts.
You will see the same Pokemon over and over again because the roster in this game supports a measly 144 different Pokemon.
Yep.
Additionally, the game may grow stale because at the end of the day, all you are doing is going through dungeons over and over again, one floor at a time. While this is the concept for all Mystery Dungeon games, usually I am more hooked and reeled in right away. Gates to Infinity gives seasoned players many hurdles to overcome before you get into its best content. Once you get there, it is short-lived and occasionally disrupted by more cutscenes, and eventually culminating to a boss battle that doesn't deliver the accomplished feeling I was hoping for.
Yeah.
Despite this, I find myself still enjoying the game for the most part. Have it be the cute art style, the banger music, or most of all, eventually growing attached to the Pokemon world I was trying to save. While this game may not be for everyone, if you stick to it long enough, it will be worth your time.
I agree. That's a fair rating.
6 out of 10.
That's a fair rating because I gave it the same exact thing. Now, granted, I did see your rating before I even did the document, but I still think a 6 out of 10 is where it should be. It doesn't deserve a 7. It doesn't deserve a 5 at the halfway point.
Because a 7's like a good game. I don't want to call this game like good. Like, I'm not going to be like, hey, dude, have you played Gates to Infinity? You should try it. I'm not really going around recommending this game.
I think it's a good game. I don't think it's a great game. 7 out of 10 is like, it's pretty good. 8 out of 10 is like great. 9 is like pretty great.
Dude, you have to play it. And then 10 is
like awesome.
Yeah.
So, let me explain. Pokemon Gates to Infinity, Mystery Dungeon, whatever. There's a lot of words there. I gave this a 6 out of 10. The mechanics, theme, characters, and building system in this game is super cool, and there's so much good stuff about this game, but with the good comes the bad, and unfortunately, the bad really brings this game down. A lackluster story was pretty sad to see as it went through the dungeons and the character development was done really well, but it just seems like this game didn't know what it wanted to be. From building a Pokemon paradise to accepting requests to doing the mainline story, it felt like it was going in too many different directions without a good enough story to hold it up. To fix this game, I would definitely give the bad guys some more character, because 99% of them were pretty much just, we want the world to end because we want the world to end. Also, some more plot twists to keep it fresh would have been super cool. And all the other dungeon games, you're sleeping at like 3 different places throughout the game, running away, all that. And here, it's just one place. I thought Espeon and Umbreon were going to betray us and send us somewhere far away as a cool plot twist, but it was just always predictable. Maybe all that seems confusing, but let me bring it back. This Pokemon Mystery Dungeon game was good. It played it safe, with an average story, average bad guys, and average plot. The reason I gave it a 6 is because it wasn't ambitious. I wanted that wow factor, but it just felt like I knew the ending before it ever happened.
Dude, you're Caillou-Rem. You saw the future, man.
Yeah, I know. I really did.
Yeah, you had access to the internet, man.
Yeah. Too bad.
But yeah, 6 out of 10 I feel is perfect for this game. There was one other thing I wanted to say. Yes, so you were talking about wow factors and like betrayals and plot twists. Did you know, playing Super Mystery Dungeon for the first time, that Nuzleaf was going to betray you? Did you have that feeling?
I don't remember. I think not really.
Yeah, dude, that was a crazy moment for me when he was the evil guy. I was like, no way, he took you in. He he fed you.
Exactly. It played out that storyline so good because it let it be. It let it cook. It let it bring it all together. And then it was like, boom, he's the bad guy. And then he wanted to talk to you about it. But then he was like, let's go away. And then he shows up again to try and help you at the end. And it was crazy. So this, I think the main thing about this game is just, it was so average.
So average.
Like, it is Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, but that's all it is.
Mm-hmm. Would you recommend starting with this game, or would you recommend not playing this game? If someone who's never played Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, would you be like, yeah, this is a good one to start with because it's average, it'll give you the feel for Mystery Dungeon? Or would you be like, stay clear because there's better ones?
I'd say steer clear because there's better ones, but if you want to play them all, definitely play this one because it's still not like horrible. It's still a good game in my opinion. It's just not great.
That's it. That's a wrap on our Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Gates to Infinity. Without further ado, we are going to move along to what's new and what we've been playing. Ogly Dokley, here we are over in the what's new and what we've been playing section. Homie Low, you're on the D-Scout. You're on the whatnot.
You love saying this.
You're on your full-time job / part-time job, getting 30 hours. You're doing all these loose end things. For all I know, you could be just I'm
a millionaire.
On the internet, man.
I'm a millionaire. I just
tricking people into getting money.
Hey,
for all I know.
Why are we talking about that?
No reason whatsoever. Yesterday didn't happen. Point is,
exactly.
What's new in your collection? Because I'm sure you got a list.
Dude, well, first of all, I don't want to tell people I'm a millionaire, right? After all that being said, just kidding. What's new? I got an Among Us plush. You know, you got one yesterday too.
Dude, don't steal my thunder like that, man.
Sorry, I have to. I
was excited.
It was a crewmate, and I got the imposter. I thought it was really cool.
Now you're throwing me under the bus.
But I got that. I think that's all I got. I got like my brother, not you, our other brother, just like a little Christmas gift because I'm not gonna get him anything crazy, but it is a Christmas gift. You know what I mean? So whatever, keep that in. It's fine.
Yeah.
And I also got some more G Fuel because I love G Fuel. You can see my collection over there. And they had a really big sale. It was like collector's boxes were $30, usually like $40, and you could get them 30% off. So that was really cool.
Hopped on that quick, man.
Yeah, man. I was like, I'm making some extra money, so I got that. I also lost $50 sports betting, but it's okay, because we just pulled that money back from Robinhood. No losses.
Dude, the amount of tags I get in like Twitter or Instagram, G Fuel this, G Fuel that.
Dude, I have to.
Dude,
and I never win. It's always Twitch affiliates. It's so annoying.
I always get tagged.
I have to. Sorry, do you want me to stop?
No, it's fine. I just think it's funny.
Okay.
So, what's new with your boy? Among Us plush already stole my thunder. It's okay. But
Dude, talk about it.
I love him. He's
I know.
cool. He is above my monitor right now at my computer station. One leg up, one leg down, like a homie.
Yeah,
right?
a homie.
He's so cool. I want to play Among Us. I want another plush. He's so cool.
Good thing my imposter's here.
Where is he?
He's in the other room.
Oh, okay. Another new thing I got is, I pre-ordered Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 because I'm really excited for that. And I also pre-ordered Pokemon Violet.
Yeah, we're going to be reviewing Scarlet and Violet, I think, in December, right?
Correct, because it comes out late November, so we're going to do it for December.
I'll be getting Scarlet, so everybody knows.
So, I'm excited for that. Can't get enough Pokemon.
I know. This is going to be like the new mainline Pokemon. We're going to be talking about it.
Yeah, we're going to be relevant, bro.
I know. Hopefully. Maybe not.
The month before, we're going to be reviewing Odyssey.
Dead game. No, it's not, actually. Check Google Trends. It's not dead.
All right.
Sorry.
So that concludes our What's New. What have you been playing this week?
So what have I been playing? So this mostly came from last night, honestly, right? Mm-hmm. So we played some Wii games yesterday. Together we played Wii Sports. We made some great TikToks. Like some really, really great TikToks.
They're blowing up. We're going to go viral,
I know,
man.
For real. Millions of views. So we played some Wii Sports. We played some Smash Bros. Wonky game. If you guys have played Smash Bros. Brawl, super wonky.
I can't believe in 2008 to 2011, between those times, that was the Smash Bros. To play.
Yeah.
Like, I can see why everyone stayed to Melee now. Because Brawl sucks.
For real. I used to hear when I was playing Ultimate a lot, like, everybody hates Brawl. It's like, why did everybody hate Brawl? Like, the story's cool. The what's it called? I don't know.
Subspace Emissary.
So the Subspace Emissary is cool. I was like, why does everybody hate Brawl? I know why now.
Gives you a stomach ache.
It does give me a stomach ache. So I was playing that. I played Game Party on the Wii. I have some trash Wii games that me and my friend just try and play, get through some of them, see how really trash they are, laugh so hard at them because they're really bad. Mm-hmm. And then we hopped on some Smash Ultimate, destroyed a lot of people, honestly, and then we got teabagged. So that was pretty hurtful. But
you got beat.
Yeah. And, of course, Pokemon till 5 a.m. last night. So here we are. Got to go to work in an hour, so.
That's cool, man. That's cool.
No, it was great, though. I love Pokemon.
Yeah, it makes for good times. You're going to remember it in like 2 years.
I know,
like,
exactly.
Dungeon Day, man. Dungeon Day, stay up till 5 a.m.
That's why I stayed up. You got to beat the game. You were texting, you're like, just fill it out. I was like, I got to beat the game. No way I don't beat it.
And I appreciate that. So what have I been playing? Lots of Minecraft. I also finished up Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Gates to Infinity early in the week. I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday.
Wow. Yeah,
I know.
Not me.
And then I also started playing the beta for Call of Duty. Super hyped about that.
I want to get on that.
Lots of fun.
Nice.
I might be streaming that too in the next couple days. Just feel like it'd be awesome to get some new content up there.
Yeah.
But that wraps up what's new and what we've been playing. Homie Lo, do you have any closing coins?
All I have for closing coins is that this is releasing on Dungeon Day, so we probably already have Instagram posts, Twitter posts, TikTok posts out about it, so make sure to go check us out all over there. Listen to this podcast again. And
make this a yearly tradition. Don't just listen to this one time.
Celebrate with us. Go check out our subreddit at Nintenbros Pod, r/Nintenbros Pod, and post your Mystery Dungeon collection, because we want to see it and support, boost up the holiday. We're going to try and do this every year.
Don't listen to any haters. You see any Reddit posts that are like, wow, it's not September 25th. It's actually... Don't listen to them.
Don't listen to them. They're just going to downvote you. Be careful. I already tried to downvote all their posts on my 4 accounts. There's some policy. All right? So just try and be careful, but celebrate with us, I'm going to say this before we wrap it up completely. Message us Dungeon Day and Nintenbros93 on Instagram for a shout out on the next podcast. Because we're moving on to October next month, and that's Luigi's Mansion type vibe. So
Luigi's Mansion.
We actually do have like the whole month like plotted out for like a lot of Luigi's Mansion content.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because we also got Graveyard at the end of the month for Halloween.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun stuff that we got planned for you guys. And you already talked about basically all my closing coins, so just from your boy Jake, one more time, thank you so much for celebrating Dungeon Day with us. I got a whole day planned out. This drops at 7. You're probably listening a couple days later or whatever, but Sunday, man, Dungeon Day was a great time. I already have a lot of stuff planned out that I'm going to do with a couple friends.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to it.
For sure. I totally agree.
How about you take us home?
All right, guys. Well, we hope you have enjoyed our Pokemon Gates to Infinity review. I think this is Nintenbros number 82, so thanks for being with us thus far. You know, we got the 0.5 episodes coming out on the 15th and 30th. Make sure to look out for those top 5s. Message us on our socials. Look at them. Comment. Follow. Nintenbros93 on TikTok and the IG. Nintenbros6 on Twitter. You can find all my socials at Onaship. I will be moving Instagrams, so make sure to follow my new one over there. Post just cool collection photos, and it'll also be stuff that's relevant to the podcast.
Perfect. Follow your boy Onabo97 on the YouTube. Got some live streams. We did some Super Mario Maker the other day. I do some Minecraft, and I'm planning to do some Call of Duty in the future. So if you like video games, just check your boy out.
Very nice. Yeah, we all love video games around here, guys. So we hope you have enjoyed Pokemon Gates to Infinity review. Let us know what you would give it out of 10. And without further ado, we're done with Dungeon Day. We'll see you in the next game review of Luigi's Mansion. We hope you're excited. It's going to be spooky. We'll see you all next time.
Bye.